Steve's Game Blog.
Dishonored is this game that completely slipped under my radar. I heard almost no hype from it during its development, and other than it's some new FPS from Bethesda. And then all of a sudden, bam, it's getting these great reviews all over the place. It's why it took me so long to pick it up and see what I was missing out on. But now that I've played it, it might just steal my Sleeper Hit of the Year award previously allotted to 2K's Sleeping Dogs. It's an FPS set in a dystopian steampunk universe where you use a combination of guns, swords, and magic to try and overthrow a tyrannical empire. I know what you're thinking, and while the immediately obvious parallel is Bioshock, the game itself plays a lot more like the Thief games of yore, promoting sneaking around in the shadows over Bioshock's style of shooting everything that moves in the face. The story picks up when you, Corvo, the former guardsman of the Empress, is framed for her murder by a power-hungry officer. You break out of jail with the help of a ragtag bunch of freedom fighters and work with them in order to try and stop the officer from gaining control of the entire empire, clear your name, and rescue Emily, the Empress's kidnapped daughter. You do this, obviously, by becoming a master assassin. Wait, what? Oh, whatever. The combat system of Dishonored was easily my favourite part of the game. You start off with a gun and a sword, but eventually upgrade your inventory with crossbows, grenades, traps, and even a selection of magic powers. Melee combat works really well. It uses a block system that rewards perfect timing by throwing your opponents off guard. Magic lets you do lots of cool little things like see through walls, teleport, slow time, or even possess rats, and it gives you some cool passive benefits like health regeneration or making slain enemies turn into ash. I really like the dual wield system. It makes your sword feel like your main fighting weapon, while all the other little gadgets, guns and magics and whatever feel like supplements. Slowing time to get behind a guy to stab him, or jumping from a rooftop onto a guy with your sword and shooting his buddy in the face, it really makes you feel badass and it really works really well. One of the game's main draws is the multiple approaches to every mission kind of play that was made famous by the Hitman series. Every assassination target has multiple routes to it. You can set up murders that look like an accident, you can use your powers and the environment to find a way to sneak up on your target, or you can just shoot everyone in the face. It works really well, and it's fun to try and discover the most interesting way to complete a mission. There's also a non-lethal option for every target. If you want, you can play through the entire game without ever killing a single person, using crossbow sleep bolts and your non-lethal stealth takedown to eliminate guards. In fact, the game actively rewards you for being less lethal. At the end of a mission, you're presented with a chaos level, which is affected by how many people you killed and how many alarms you tripped. The higher the chaos level, the more difficult subsequent levels will be, as more rat swarms and zombie-like prey-riddled weepers will be present. It's a shame that all of the really cool toys leave bodies in your wake. If I had one complaint with the game, it's that I never really felt sufficiently challenged. I started out on hard and had to bump it up to very hard once I realized that I was constantly at a full stock of potions, and relatively easily progressing through the levels. Coming from playing Hitman Absolution, whose stealth system was so brutal and unforgiving, Dishonored seemed a lot more lackluster. It's relatively easy to remain hidden most of the time, and if you do get discovered, taking care of one or two guards usually puts you in the clear. Once you figure out the block and parry system, combat only really becomes difficult when you're fighting 3 or more people at once. Yet some of the magic powers, like slow time, and the fact that you can quick save and quick load at any time, makes even this a breeze. I also didn't like the heart system. Scattered throughout every level are several runes and bone charms. Runes are your currency for upgrading magic powers, and bone charms can be equipped to give you a small buff. The only problem is you can't track them unless you have the heart equipped. It felt like a needlessly complicated extra step. Why not just have the runes and charms show up as quest markers by default? Another minor complaint was the whole Basil exposition aspect of the story. I really liked that there were so many books and audio tapes lying around the game world, and that if you stop to read them, it paints a vivid picture of the world around you and what's been going on. But then you go back to the pub and these two assholes throw you in a cutscene and force feed you an explanation anyway. It really throws me out of the game, especially seeing as these guys just sit around drinking beer while you constantly keep going out there and doing the dirty work. Corvo rescued this guy. Corvo kill this guy. Corvo wash the dishes. The whole home base aspect feels a bit useless. The only real reason to go there is to visit Piero, who can upgrade your equipment. But this could have easily been accomplished in the end of mission screen. I felt the game would have worked a lot better if they cut the home base out entirely and had the resistant members contact you via radio, like in Bioshock. So, Dishonored came out of nowhere and it sufficiently impressed me. The flaws that I'm pointing out are pretty much more just a personal preference than glaring faults with the game, and they shouldn't really affect your enjoyment. It's a solid stealth action game with very fun mechanics and a rich, detailed world. It also looks really nice as well. Despite running on the Unreal Engine, which is God knows how old now, it still looks pretty good. If you're a fan of Bioshock, Thief, or Hitman, or similar games like that, you should pick it up. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, please leave comments if you have any questions or criticisms with this video, and please check out the link to my website in the description. Thanks. See ya.